Hi guys, it's Hayley. Welcome back to my channel. So firstly, I'd like to open the video by just thanking all of my subscribers for staying with me. I understand that I have not uploaded for a while now, but that is why I'm making this video today. I just want to explain to you the reasons behind me not uploading, and hopefully you can understand that. It was never my intention to stay away from YouTube and not upload. I was really loving my journey, and although I'm a very young channel, I was really getting into it and loving it, building my subscriber count up, but then obviously situations happened and I wasn't able to film. In my first video I uploaded, I explained I wanted this channel to be a very positive space for everybody, a safe space for people to come and join me, just watch my unboxings, watch my videos, and kind of join a little family on YouTube. And that is still very much what I want this to be. However, my video today may seem a little bit negative. I don't want it to come across as that. I want it to come informative for you and for you guys at home. I just want to be able to let you know my situation and how I dealt with that. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So the reason that I have been away from YouTube is because I have had COVID-19. I wanted to go through everything with you and kind of let you know my journey from having the first symptom until today, where I'm still experiencing the after effects of COVID. I am past my isolation period, but I'm still experiencing after effects, which is quite common, and I believe a lot of people are having. So if you would like to know a little bit about my journey, then just keep watching. I apologise throughout the video if my voice goes or if I cough a little bit or seem a little bit out of breath. I am still experiencing some symptoms of COVID. Obviously the virus has gone, but I am still having the after effects of the breathing, the cough and the fatigue and things. So just bear with me, we'll get through this, I promise. And I am back. So on the 27th of October, I woke up, I was fine the night before, no issues. I wake up on the 27th of October and I had a headache and a little bit of a sore throat, but it felt more like when you wake up and you're thirsty and you've not had your morning drink and you're quite dry and you get that bit of a sore throat, kind of how I felt. The headache was a little bit strange for me, but I carried on with my morning. I got ready for work and I went off to work. Now during my morning in work, I was coughing a little bit. Now I don't struggle with any chest complaints or I don't smoke, so for me it was strange for me having a cough, and then alongside that I'd had the sore throat and the headache that I'd had in that morning. So obviously with me being a nurse, I went straight to the testing tent and had my test. Now when you go to the test centres, you will either drive up, it'll be a walk-in test centre, or a drive-up test centre. So mine is a drive-up test centre. So you drive up, there'll be someone there to meet you with the testing kits. In my particular one, they do the swabs for you. In some of them you are given the packs and explained to how to do them yourself, but on my individual one they had to do it for us. So they basically have, it looks like a large cotton bud and it's quite large. It's not a pleasant experience, but it's a necessary experience and you have to do it. And it's better knowing and getting it done than not knowing at all. So they will take 2 swabs. They will take one of the throat, so they will ask you to open your mouth and then they will swab the back of your throat, your tonsil area, and they'll swab each side for about 5 seconds. They will swab it and then they take it out and they have to take another swab of your nasal cavity. So they'll take it up to about here, and then they'll just run it around your nasal cavity, and then that is the test done. They then put it in the sample part and they send that off to be tested. So because obviously I was feeling fine apart from a headache and a sore throat and a little bit of a dry cough, I was sure that my test was going to become negative. I obviously went home. I went home straight from work, and isolated from that minute on. and my family did the same. So my son, who's 18, and my husband also isolated until I got the results. So I was informed that the results can take between 24 and 72 hours depending on how many people have been swabbed on that day and how many results they need to give people. So I hung fire, kind of went to bed. I was fine that night, not a problem. And then I woke up about 9 o'clock the next morning, feeling a little bit more poorly, but not really anything major. Definitely didn't think I had COVID. And then I got a call from the occupational health at my work, who had my test results. So they informed me that I was COVID positive, which was quite scary. Didn't expect to get that result. And I certainly at that point didn't feel poorly enough to have COVID. And I knew that some people don't have symptoms of it, but I just assumed that, you know, I would feel poorlier than I did. So I was tested positive. They rang me, they told me exactly what I needed to do and that I needed to self-isolate for 10 days. But then my son and my husband, because they obviously weren't having any symptoms, had to isolate for 14 days. So after 10 days, I was able to go back to work as long as I was clear of a temperature for 48 hours. Excuse me. So I kind of got home, sat at home, just prepared myself a little bit for it. Being a nurse, I bought a couple of pieces of equipment that I could use at home to kind of monitor my condition and monitor my breathing, because I knew that that could become a side effect. And I thought for £20, you know, it was worth getting the equipment there in case I needed to contact medical teams or in case I needed to phone 111 in order to get some information regarding my condition at that point in time and see if it was relevant for me to go to hospital. So I'm going to just show you what I bought just as a state of interest, just to, so you can see what I used during my COVID time. So firstly, we got a pulse oximeter, which is basically a probe that sits on your finger, and it will tell you your oxygen level and your pulse rate. Now this was just a good indication to show me that I had a good sufficient amount of oxygen going around my body. Now this I think was about £14, but actually gave me such great peace of mind throughout my COVID journey. The other thing I had, which a lot of you will probably have, is a thermometer. Now this for me was a necessity for keeping myself and my husband and my son well. Obviously you can only get temperatures as symptoms, but if you're not feeling unwell, you're not necessarily going to check someone's temperature. So having one of these, it became a everyday thing every couple of hours to check the family's temperatures. I isolated away as much as I could in my room, and my husband went into the spare room, and obviously my son was in his room. So we tried to isolate as much as you can, but in a small household it's very difficult. We had a lot of disinfectant wipes that we kept all over the house. We had them in the bathroom, in each bedroom, down in the living room, in the kitchen. We had it everywhere. So if I'd come downstairs, we made sure the banister was clean before anybody else came up or down the stairs using the banister. And that's kind of how we got through it. Now, in regards to how I felt, I was okay until the third day. On the third day, I became quite poorly and was feeling like I had a really heavy cold. I was achy, I was coughing, I was struggling to breathe. I was struggling to make it from my bedroom to the bathroom, which is just across the landing, because I was so short of breath, and I knew that I was in for a bit of a battle, but I prepared myself for that. And it was very difficult watching the TV. You watch the TV and all you see is COVID. You watch the social media and all you see is COVID. And it was very scary to kind of think, how poorly am I going to get in this? Am I going to get to the point of these poor people who are in hospital and you know, it was a hard time. It's not like having a cold where you think, oh, I feel awful, but it's just a cold. I had COVID, and it was very difficult for me to kind of get my head around how poorly I could possibly get. So I basically kept up with all my fluids, make sure I had plenty of fluids. I was taking vitamins every day. I was taking iron, and I was taking, which are my normal medications anyway. So all my regular medications I was taking. I was taking a vitamin D capsule, and also having in the morning when I got up, I'd have some Manuka honey. Now it's not the cheapest thing, but it was really helping to settle kind of my throat. As you can hear, my throat isn't fully back at the moment. It's a little bit raspy, but it was worse than this. So I'd have some Manuka honey in a drink, and I'd just take that in the mornings. So I was trying to do things to try and combat what COVID was doing. So between day 3 and probably day 8, I would say was the worst days for me. It's a little bit of a blur because I was so unwell. I was so poorly. I was in bed all day, every day. I could come downstairs for maybe an hour, and then that was it. I had to go back to bed. I couldn't do anything else. So it was difficult. It was a difficult time. I didn't ever have a temperature. So a lot of people say, you know, you have this high temperature with COVID. I never experienced a high temperature, not from day 1 up until now. So yeah, that didn't happen for me. So then I was quite sick. My breathing was laboured a little bit. I was very, very short of breath. I was coughing a lot. I wasn't able to sleep. I was dry all the time. And then on about day 7, I lost my taste and my smell. I had this awful, horrible smell in my nose, and that's all I could smell all the time. And it didn't matter how strong. So I would have a bottle of Vicks, for instance, in front of my nose, and I couldn't smell it. I had absolutely no smell whatsoever. Taste, I couldn't taste anything. Even your strongest of flavours, garlic, lemon, all these, I was not able to taste. And it was absolutely awful. And that was scary again, because I didn't know how long it was going to last. And I didn't know whether I'd even get this taste and smell back again. So yeah, so that was about day 7, day 8 that I lost my taste and my smell. So 10 days after I was diagnosed with COVID, my husband was unwell. He had started with a cough. He had a temperature, and he had a bit of a sore throat. So obviously, because I was positive, he got a test and he was tested positive as well. So at this time there was me and my husband who were both positive. We both became quite poorly. He was poorly for a good week and a half with COVID, the same as me, shortness of breath, cough and temperatures. And so yeah, that was me and my husband. Then 3 days later, after my husband was diagnosed, my son was having temperatures, but he was fine. He didn't feel ill, but he did have temperatures. His temperatures were getting up to about 38.4. So I knew that wasn't normal. So we contacted Track and Trace, and they obviously said he needed to get a test as well. You can have home tests, which you do. You get them delivered to your home. You do the test at home, and then you can can be picked up by the Royal Mail, and they can take it away for you. So there are home tests available. So Jamie was tested, and his result came back the next day as positive as well. So we were a full positive household. All 3 of us had COVID, and it was kind of fight or flight. Somebody had to keep the house going. Somebody had to keep doing the meals, had to keep doing drinks for people. You know, at that point, Jamie had become a little bit more poorly. He was getting very short of breath. Now, if you knew Jamie, he is a very, very, very fit 18-year-old. He is very athletic, and it is not like Jamie to be breathless at all. He can run miles and miles and miles, and it not bother him. but he would walk upstairs and be completely out of breath at the top of the stairs. He had a bad cough, he was having temperatures all the time, and he generally felt really unwell. I think Jamie explained it as having a heavy cold, Jamie, would you say? Like a heavy cold, a very heavy cold. But then I think the shortness of breath worried Jamie, because that's something he's definitely not aware of. He's never felt that before. So yeah, so all three of us had it. So obviously we just socialised together then. We all had it. We kind of, whoever felt better on a certain day would, you know, try and get little bits to eat and drink. I mean, I have put a little bit of weight on throughout COVID, I'm not going to lie, but that was just because we had to eat whatever was quick enough to get. We weren't able to make big meals and, you know, really healthy things and go out and do healthy food shops and things. We just had to grab what we could. So yeah, so that was the journey from being diagnosed. Then after the 10 days, I remained quite poorly. I was still very, very short of breath. I was still struggling to get from bedroom to bathroom without being short of breath. I was short of breath on rest. I still had a cough. So Track and Trace contacted me on the Saturday. I was able to go out my house on the Friday, and they basically said, you know, how are you after your isolation? And I just explained to them the symptoms, so that I was still having. So they wanted me to contact 111 because I was still having some symptoms of COVID. So I contacted 111 and they informed me that I was not to worry. The COVID virus would have kind of died in my system, if you like, after the 10 days, but the dead cells can live in your system for a longer period. That is what 111 told me. So I would still have some after effects of how the COVID affected me. So I am now going into my 4th week. So from Tuesday, that'll be the beginning of my 4th week of COVID. I have got dressed today for probably the 2nd time in a month because I have lived in my pyjamas and in my loungewear because I have been so sick. I've put makeup on today for the first time in a month because I've obviously not been well enough to put makeup on my face. So I just wanted to film this for you just so that you could see that I am still here. I haven't given up on YouTube. My YouTube journey is very much in place and I'm so excited to start again. I am okay. I'm getting there. I tried to go back to work on Wednesday, but I was too poorly. I was very short of breath. I'm very fatigued in the mornings. The mornings are hard for me. I'm very dry, fatigued, and it takes me a few hours to get going a little bit. But I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm feeling a lot stronger. I have still got some shortness of breath. I have still got a cough, and I still do get very, very tired. I get to about 2 o'clock and then I could sleep for the rest of the day and night. So that's not good, but that will come back. My smell and my taste have come back slightly. I can still smell some horrible smells. I won't tell you what I've been smelling because it's not very nice. But I have still got some sense of smell now, and I have got a little bit of taste back. It is very mild, my taste, so stronger flavours still taste quite mild, but I've got some taste which is better than none. So I'm getting better. I'm not fully there yet, but I was desperate to get back onto the camera and kind of explain to you guys why I've been away, and obviously hopefully now you can understand why I wasn't able to film any YouTube videos. I wasn't able to, you know, I know that I've seen on YouTube that a lot of people have recorded their journey throughout. I was too poorly to do that. I wasn't able to film. So yeah, so I just wanted to jump on, just let you know what my journey was like through COVID, to let you know that I am still here and I am going to be coming back. I will put this up, it's Saturday today, so I'm hoping to get this up on Sunday, hopefully, if Jamie can get this edited for me. and then I will see if I can get, I've got a lot of subscription boxes I need to unbox for you guys, and I'm desperate to use the products in them, so I really want to get them done soon. So I will try and record as soon as I can for you again. Hopefully you might have one Wednesday. Let's see how I feel tomorrow, and then I could possibly film another one tomorrow. I'm aiming to go back to work on Monday, so a bit more normality in my life now, but it's just going to be a long road to recovery, but I hope you can all stay with me. Please like this video if you can. I know it's a really negative video and you feel awful liking it, but just give me a big thumbs up to let me know you're okay with it and that you're okay with the fact that I've neglected you a little bit for the last month. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. I know that a lot of people who watch my videos aren't yet subscribed, but if you could click onto the subscribe button, it is free. Click the notification bell to be notified of any future uploads. But until the next time, you take care. Mwah.